Hey, you know, it may be like nearly 7:30, but it is still 7. 8, 8, 8, 8. Yeah, okay, so I'm a bit later than I was supposed to be. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. But, like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess let's just start the stream, I guess. Ooh, for the little doodle that I was working on, last stream, well, I wasn't working on that doodle during the stream, but, like, it was a doodle I was working on. Cora says, hello, hi, welcome. Let's, get to the infinite void very quickly. Super scary, oh no. It is, there it is. It's completed. Charles says it counts. I guess it does. Here it is, it's completed, with a young Odie. And Athena being like, yeah, sure, whatever, kid, I don't care. I don't care, do what you want. Odie's like, no, you need to understand, there's this girl, and she's amazing, and she's smart, and she's, what is it, she's articulate, serene, the wittiest of my dreams. I wanted to scream, and before we got a chance to meet, we were thinking the same thing. We were wondering, okay, I'll stop. So we're gonna be coloring, the last, where are you? There you are. We're gonna be coloring this piece, now with older Odie, and hold on a second. There we go. And I'm not a fan of this. I don't really like the placement here. I think it looks weird. It's the best I got. It's fine. It's fine. Do I have stuff on his legs as well? I don't remember if I've had stuff on his legs. Little anime scuff marks. Hold on, I need to check. Kinda? Okay. One up here on his knee. And... okay. That should be fine. Okay. Did I move it by accident? I hope I did not. I'm going to, enlarge the foot, because it's starting to annoy me. It's really starting to annoy me now. Like that. I guess it works. It's fine. It's fine. Nope, still don't like it. Okay. Is the pool up here? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm just gonna erase everything that's, like, crossing through it. Battlelord says, hello, Peppermint Life, hello! We're chillin', we're doodling, we're coloring, well, we're going to be coloring soon. I'm just, finishing up the line art. Currently waiting for class, so I'm gonna attend your stream. That is okay. But please pay attention in your class when you are. I'm doing fine right now, by the way. That's good. Okay. I think I got that done. Now we can get to coloring. Yay! Okay, so I'm just gonna combine these two because they're basically all one thing. So normally what I do with the coloring these days is back in the day, I don't know how long ago, but I used to just like have every single layer for every single color because I would shade every color, I guess, with its own color, if that makes any sort of sense. But then nowadays I'm like, nah, I found other techniques. I found other techniques where I don't need to do that. get another brush. You know what? What if I just cheat for his skin and there we go. Big brain. Big brain. Big brain energy here. I forgot about the lines there. You dum-dum. Forgot about these lines. Whoops. Chorus says, I usually just pair up different colors that are far enough from each other on a layer. Yeah, I've recently just been, like, combining them all into one layer. And then just, like, rendering it from there. Just one thing I've started doing, and I mean, it makes the coloring, well, it makes the rendering process a lot quicker. Well, then again, am I that good at rendering? I don't know. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be better at rendering. But yeah, because there's, like, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, I have specific rendering styles, or I guess, like, art styles that I want to emulate, but at the same time, they're, like, there's a part of me that wants to do more of, like a rougher, sketchier type style, but I can't, I literally can't, because if my brain sees, like, any line that goes off where it's supposed to be, I'm like, I gotta fix it! Which is why my sketches are just, like, by default, really clean. And I tend to be very similar with the coloring. As you can see right now, coloring inside the lines when they have to be. Battlelord says, I do the same as well. I'm assuming you mean, like, the combining it all into one layer, except I do it in a different way by copying it and pasting it in, since my app doesn't save the colors when I go to a different drawing. Yeah, luckily Procreate does do that. However, I also kind of have to be careful with it because, especially when it's like a finished illustration, it's like, it's already rendered, therefore it's not the base color that I, like, would want. But since that silly little Athena doodle is more of a simple, I just, like, whipped it up real quickly. I don't have to worry about it too much. His face is done, hands are done, okay, legs. One of these days, and what I mean by one of these days, I mean probably soon, I don't know, I would like to do, like, background studies, or at least, like, nature studies, like forestry studies, I would like to do, because if there's one thing I still struggle with to this day, it's background art. Like, background art is still the thing that I struggle so much with, especially when it's, like, nature. When it's, like, forestry. I really struggle with that. Battlelore says, well, class is starting. Bye, guys. Oop, oh well. See ya. But anything with, like, a forest, because, like, there's no specific perspective that I can follow. Yeah, like, there's no, well, I mean, there is perspective, but, like, because nature is so like, it doesn't, it vaguely follows the basic shapes, but not really. Unpredictable, because nature is so unpredictable. Like, yeah, you can do like perspective and stuff like that with nature, but it's not to the same degree as like with buildings. It's a lot more, well, wild. And on one hand, that's great. On one hand, that's great because it's just like, just understand basic perspective and just go ham. But no. For me, the biggest problem with like doing anything like nature-y or forestry is the everything else. It is the like it's like the forest, the trees, the leaves, the grass. Like, how do I make that all look natural without it just looking like clouds on sticks? You know what I mean? That was until I started working on my thesis, or my capstone, or however people want to call it, where for my short film, I originally had somebody to do the background art for me because they were an illustrator, and I said, please. It's too organic. Organic, yeah, that was the word I was looking for. It's so dumb. It's like, it's nature, duh. Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, the perspective, I was complaining about the perspective, but it's actually not that bad. It's just like, understand basic perspective, and you like, because it doesn't follow like the super strict rules, you can kind of like do whatever. My issue is the do whatever. It's like, okay, I have the freedom to like do what I want. What do I do with it, you know? So, yeah, for my thesis, capstone, whatever you want to call it, for my short film, I had somebody who was mostly an illustrator to do the backgrounds because I was like, I can't do backgrounds. I need somebody to get it. Can you do it? And they're like, okay. And then I sketched out like what I wanted for those backgrounds and the exact dimensions and all of that stuff, and sent them to them. And I was like, here's all of the stuff with the sketches and the dimensions. I even slapped on some of the characters so that like the artist could get like an idea of like how the characters looked in the scene. And I literally had an entire file of just getting done. I literally had an entire file of my brain died. I had an entire file of backgrounds from other shows that had the exact style that I wanted, because I had a very, very specific style in my mind. And that was like old anime watercolor style, if that makes any sort of sense. Because it's like, I don't know, I find it very interesting because it's like, it's watercolor, so it's like the illusion of complexity, and because like these old animes had to be done like super quickly, these backgrounds are really simple, but the way that they're painted, even though they're simple, and you can tell they're simple, there's still that illusion of complexity, and I just fell in love with it. And also the colors are all soft, and you can see like the faint like pencil lines, pretty. And let me copy this guy's hair color. And so I sent them all of my sketches. I sent them my inspirations, my folder full of inspos. And I was like, here you go. Just make sure you finish it by the end of the year. Well, okay, maybe not by the end of the year, like a little bit before that, please. And then like sometime later, it was like it was either on the same day or the day after, where they contact me again. They're like, hey, so I can't do this. I can't. This is too much work. Now, I do want to preface that this person did go to the same school as me, and especially by the end of semesters, there's finals, and everybody's like busy with that, and like, and you could be like, oh, they could have worked on it for the rest of the semester, and it's like, yeah, that was my intention. I didn't want, but like, I don't want to put extra stress on someone, especially for what's basically unpaid labor. So I was like, no, it's alright. I feel kind of sad, honestly, because like, I really did not want to paint those backgrounds myself. And also because I had to do everything else, right? I had to do the editing and the sound and the actual animation in and of itself. Like, I had to do all of that. So, and I also had like my other classes on top of that. There were plenty of reasons why I didn't want to do backgrounds more than just I think I'm bad at backgrounds, but eventually I was like, well, I gotta do it myself. And because I had such a specific style in mind, I still wanted to keep that idea. I literally, like, sat my ass down, pulled up Clip Studio Paint, got my basic round brush, not the watercolor brush, because I actually really hate the watercolor brushes in digital, but that's just me. I got my basic round brush in Clip Studio Paint because it's my favorite brush and I use it for everything, just lowered the opacity just the slightest bit, and then just kinda, like, stared at those anime backgrounds. I just stared at them, and I just color picked them for hours. There was, like, one particular day where me and my friend were literally just, like, studying these backgrounds, trying to figure out how they worked. And one thing I noticed, which also adds to this illusion of complexity that I'm talking about, here I am going to be like, man, Japanese artists are, like, they put so much thought in their work, but, like, they put so much thought in their work. Like, one thing I noticed immediately is the color theory. And like, basically color theory is the idea of, well, most people think of it in terms of color palettes, as in, like, these are, like, what is it, anachronistic colors, these color, like basically, like, color palettes that complement each other. But, like, the further you go into color theory, there's also, it's not just what colors go with each other, it's also, like, how does light affect these colors, or, like, shadows affect these colors, or, like, the thing that always gets me is that sometimes the color that is perceived is not the actual color that's used. Case in point, most of the trees in these backgrounds that I noticed were not brown. They were actually like gray or orange or purple. But with the surrounding colors, and of course, like, the shading and the highlights and whatever, it looks brown. And if you, like, look at it for a while, you're like, okay, yeah, that's not brown. But, like, when you're just seeing it in the background, like it's supposed to be, you see a tree. You don't see, like, a purple or yellow trunk. It's so cool, actually. Cora says there should be classes for learning backgrounds, so it could help many artists who mainly draw figures. I actually agree. I actually completely agree. There seriously should. I know, at least in my school, we had classes in perspective, and I probably should have taken it. And thinking back, I really should have taken it, but I also wanted to take some, like, film classes, because, I don't know. Thinking back, I probably should have. But there's also some, like, painting classes, but I didn't want to take those painting classes because, like, I'm an artist. This might sound like the biggest hot take ever. I'm not super into paint. I want to paint. Actually, no, it's full on jealousy. Like, I want to learn how to paint, and I mean paint, like, with actual paint, but I can't. And so because of that, I'm like, I don't like painting, but, like, I really want to learn it. And I probably should have taken painting classes. I really should have. I had the option, but it was a similar thing where it was like, I want to focus on, like, more specific things that I thought would, like, improve my craft, like, for example, filmmaking and acting, and, you know, because the funny thing with, like, animation is that, you know, you're not just an artist, you're a filmmaker, right? There's more to it than just drawing. There's a level of storytelling and acting and blah blah blah. But thinking back, I probably should have taken, like, at least a painting class. At the very least. I also didn't want to buy the paints. I think that was another reason. They didn't provide the paints for you. We had to, like, buy them ourselves. And I was like, nah, I ain't buying these paints. Because them paints are expensive, you know? Like, these aren't just, like, your normal run-of-the-mill, like, apple barrel paints you get at, like, Walmart. Like, the paints they would want you to have was, like, Winsor & Newton, like, Faber-Castell. I don't know if they make paints. But, like, these popular brands among professional artists. What I'm saying is that the materials themselves are pricey. And I think that was another reason why I didn't want to take it. Again, I'm not saying that I shouldn't have. I'm thinking back. I probably should have. I regret not taking them. But at the time, I was like, I ain't spending my money on these, like, Winsor Newton color pencils. I don't think I'm even gonna use them. I got some, like, Prismacolor color pencils one time, because they were on discount. I found them on discount one time, and I wanted to use them, because they're, like, the popular color pencils to use. Bought some, used them, and I had no idea how to use color pencils, like, correctly. Like in an actual, like, artist way, not just as, like, a child coloring in their coloring book. I had no idea. I had to go up to one of my friends and be like, okay, how do you use color pencils? Please teach me. And she's like, you just color in the same area forever until it's a flat color. And I was like, is that it? And she's like, well, if you want a lot more, like, tone variation, you can mix in a couple colors in there. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, how do I know what colors to add in? Like, it's like back on the subject with, like, these backgrounds and, like, trees not actually being the color that they're perceived as. Like, it's amazing. It is so cool seeing that these trees are, like, not the colors you think they'd be. Right? I love that trickery of the eye. However, of course, I wanted to replicate that. And I'm like, how do I replicate that? What colors do I use that make it look good and so it doesn't look like ass? And so again, it was a lot of just, like, figuring it out. And I don't think my backgrounds, they didn't turn out the way I envisioned, because I just didn't have the skill, and also because these backgrounds, that the backgrounds that I was envisioning were, like, actual real watercolor backgrounds, and this was digital with a brush that was not watercolor. So it was from the get-go going to have a completely different vibe. But honestly, like, there is, like, a couple of those backgrounds that I did. I probably did, like, 60 of them. That honestly surprised me at just how, like, decent they looked. Like, I legit was like, holy crap, like, there's this one in particular. The one in particular where I'm like, am I good at backgrounds? Because I actually, like, really liked how it turned out, and so now I'm sitting here like, shoot guys, maybe I should do some, like, nature studies. Cora says, oof, I remember getting some calligraphy ink and pens because I was watching some manga authors drawing with them. I used them for like 3 weeks and haven't touched them since. Yeah. No, see, that's the... Okay, your hair is done. I'll go for your tunic. That's the difficult part with you want to emulate, like, an artist you really like, but, like, I think it's really important to know that, like, you don't need every single material that they have. Or I guess more like you should think about, like, what will you plausibly use, if that makes any sense. I got a fountain pen some time ago for no other reason than I wanted to try it. I got it, I tried it, I pretended to be, like, some old Shakespearean soldier who survived the war, wrote a bad little letter, thought it was neat, and then I never touched it again. So, it's like, I don't imagine myself, like, using it. I mean, to be fair, I just bought it because, for the novelty. Hold on a second, let me... do his belt. Okay. Purple Scarf Cake says, the ultimate cookie? So shiny, so strong. Alright. Okay. Is that in the same? Okay, I'm gonna do the tunic, which is white. Recently, I've been trying to, like, change up the colors of the tunics. Well, not the colors, but, like, the tones, I guess, of the tunic so, like, it could match the background. I had this idea that since... Okay, so I had the idea that, like, you know, like, the sea is down here, and then the blue sky is up here. But... yeah, the blue sky is up here. But I was thinking, like, the light comes down here, and it's off screen, but, like, the boat is here, and it would bounce back to where the tunic is. Although I guess logically it actually would be more cyan. actually forget what I said. Logically, it would be more of a cyan blue. Okay. And then maybe I could put a little bit of like a brown down here because the light is bouncing off from the boat. Yeah! Big braining this. Charles says, it was cool as a universal human experience. I guess it is. We'll just get cyan. Is that cyan? Actually, it would be, yeah, no, okay. We're just, maybe like in between. And again, because it's still white, I just want it to have that bluish tone. Okay. So it's again, it's one of those fits into the background type things. One thing I find is this stream just gonna be me telling like some college stories? I guess it is. Okay, so there was one time, again, I'm working on my thesis film. Oh yeah, update on that as to when I want to release that thing publicly. My original intention was that I wait after like a year of me finishing it so that I can have its little run on film festivals. But plans have changed. I still intend to release it sometime in the summer or maybe even fall, but it's probably not going to be in like, because I was intending it to be like in May, because that was the time that I like that I was finished with the film. But I think it might be a little bit either later into the summer or like at the beginning of fall, because I still wanted to go through a few more film festivals. See, the problem with film festivals is that I have to pay for the application. That's not even me getting accepted. I just have to pay for the possibility that they'll accept me. But, so one time while I was working on that film, see, because, like, my intention with the film is that it kind of sort of, like, I don't know, it looked a little, like, anime-ish, I guess, in a sense. And so because of that, I was intending to have drawn shadows in the work. And most of the people in my class were like, I am not drawing shadows in my animation. And that is 100% fair. That is a completely fair thing to do, because putting shadows on your animation, especially in the way I was doing it, that's some extra work. I just wanted to do it because I was super stubborn, and I was like, no, I want it to look like this, and like, yeah. And in Toon Boom Harmony, which is the program that we all had to use, well, we didn't have to use it, but it was the one we were trained in. In Toon Boom Harmony, there's this thing called, like, highlights and tones, something like that, where I never used it, but basically it's kind of like a quick and easy way to make shadows for your colors. I never used it because I was like, nah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go the anime route, where, like, anime doesn't use that. Instead, they just physically pick a darker color for every single color. And then they just paint bucket it in, right? It's a lot like normal drawing, I guess. But Toon Boom had the option, but I didn't want to use it because I was like, no. Again, I had a specific vision. And there's also the fact that, like, you can't control very well the exact color that comes out of the toner tool, whatever thingy. And so I was like, no, I want, like, specific control over which color is which and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's unimportant. So I draw the colors in. That makes no sense. I draw the lines of where I want the shadows to be, and I animated those lines along with the characters. It was hell, but it was also kind of fun. And I think it was, like, the 4th week into the project. The 4th week into the project, we had to do, like a progress update. Down here. We had to do like a progress update where we had to show what we had completed, but we also had to complete at least 1 second of completed animation, right? Here is the thing. So one of the people in my class how he described it to me was, oh, 1 second of animation, they mean 1 second of like everything completed. 1 second of like line art and color and background, and if you want to put any cool lighting effects, that as well. And how this guy described it to me was, they want to see how it would look like as a finished product, but again, for 1 second. And I was like, okay. And then I slaved away to finish that 1 second. We go to our little progress update thingy. We're split up in groups. I go to like the group that I'm in. I look at their their 1 second. It was not that, dude. Like when they presented me their 1 second, it was like 1 second of rough animation. Which, now that I think about it, that is probably what the professors wanted, and I just kind of went overboard because I just took what the other guy said at face value, but like, hey, on the bright side, at least I had 1 second of completed animation. And it was like the 4th week of the project. So, hey. But anyway, so because I went overboard and went like 1 second of like a fully completed shot, I'm pretty sure I even did that background independently as well. It had the lighting, and it had the shadows. And I remember how everybody in that class was just jaw-dropped at the shadows. And then one of them asked me, did you use like the toner thing in Toon Boom Harmony? And I was like, girl, I don't even know what that is. Okay, I didn't know what it is, but I don't know how to use it. I was like, no, I did not do that. And then she's like, so did you like physically color in every single shadow? And I was like, yes. And yes, I physically got every single color and then darkened it and created a new swatch. A new swatch for like the shadow. And then they're like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because I had a specific vision, man. I don't know. I was crazy. Charles says, bro was sabotaging the competition, but you went and actually did it. I mean, he did so as well. He completed it by the time he told me. And so he did have like the 1 second of completed work. But like, I went like absolutely ham because like what he did was a lot more like of a simpler, cutesy, non-shaded art style. I was going like full-on anime with this one. Cora says, flexed your skills and determination. Sorry, I thought it's a demonstration. Flexed your skills and oh my god, I can't read. Flexed your skills and determination to the whole class. Literally. Like, I remember how, like, my entire group was like, yo, what the heck? Like, are you crazy? And I'm like, yes, help me. Okay, tunic is done. I'll do your sandals. I don't want it to be the same, like, reddish brown that I have here, so go like that. Maybe like a little desaturated as well. Yeah, that's good. That's good. But, and then it got even crazier when, like, it got even crazier. Like, I don't want to talk, I don't like to talk about, like, oh, how much I impressed the class. I really, really don't, because I also feel like I'm just kind of bragging, because, like, you know, I'm not the only one who, like, slaved away on their work, you know, everyone else in the class did. It's senior capstones, it's your thesis, it's, like, it was hell for everybody. Like, however, like, both my professor and one of my friends in that class told me, like, I stood out, or like my work stood out because I had a very specific vision. And even if I didn't complete it exactly like how I imagined it, I like tried my hardest to achieve that exact vision. Like kind of like a, you knew what you wanted and you went for it kind of thing. And like another, this actually was something that I had with a later idea. So in that film, there's like a little flashback scene. And originally it was going to be just still frames. I was like, I ain't animating this. Again, I'm using all of those shortcuts that I'm using all of those shortcuts that animes use. I'm gonna have, like, this entire flashback is just gonna be still frames, and it's just gonna be the character talking. That's it. And we had to do presentations for, like, our storyboards and our color scripts and blah blah blah. This was like before I actually started, like, animating anything. And where is it? Here. Nope, wrong color. Wrong color. Let's do that. This was before I started animating. This was still, like, pre-production. So I'd say to the class, like, yeah, these are just gonna be some still frames. That's it. Nothing super impressive. However, I think I was showing off color scripts. And a color script is basically, like, a rough idea as to how the color palette of the shot will look like. And I really struggled to find one for these flashback scenes because I wanted them to be distinct from the rest of the film, but, like, you know, still be colorful, and I had no idea what I was doing, I'm gonna be honest. And then there's this one guy who said, you know how, like, in some movies they have flashbacks shown in, like, an old film type of way, like it's black and white or it's like sepia tone and it has, like, the film grain? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, since your film takes place in the medieval times, so they obviously don't have access to old film, what if instead it looks like an old manuscript? And that right there, I was like, that is genius. That is actually genius. That is so smart. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And I'm pretty sure what he was thinking is those, like, illuminated manuscripts that are full of, like, really detailed colors. I was like, no. Old sketches, like old sketches on manuscript with the dark brown ink and the hatching, like Da Vinci style sketches where it's And so then that's what I did, and then I had yet another idea, and I was like, what if instead of just still frames, because I didn't want to, like, animate the whole thing. What if instead I use, like, puppet animation, where the characters in this flashback, they aren't fully animated, because again, I didn't want to do that, but they move just ever so slightly, so it's technically a still frame, but there's, like, a little bit of movement in there. That one little suggestion from that one guy who probably didn't think much of what he said literally changed, like, the entirety of what I was going for with that flashback. And so, I had to sit my ass down and remember how the heck to use After Effects again. Because the only other time I have ever touched Adobe After Effects, literally the only time I ever touched it, like shadow puppets, I'm not sure. I mean, it's like puppets, yeah. Like, you know, I had a layer for, like, the head, the hair, the bangs, the body, the arm, like, different parts of the arm. So, like, it is like puppetry, yeah. But I wanted to make it, like, subtle enough that you couldn't tell it was a puppet, although at some parts you can definitely tell. So I had to remember how to use After Effects again, because the only time, I kid you not, the only time I have ever touched After Effects was in a class called Digital Puppets, funny enough. But Digital Puppets was more so, like, how to use it. It was more so like an introduction to After Effects than actual, like, animating with it. We did have one project where it was animate a character, but again, it was more so like an introduction to it. But I was still like, nah, I'm gonna use what I remember from that class. I'm gonna use what I remember from that class and, like, animate these little guys. And then I remember, okay, so it was our midterm. And the little email I got from my professor was like, we want you to be at least 50% done. It was the middle of the semester. They want 50% of the whole project done. And I kind of stressed myself out about that. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually, like, in the middle and blah, 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 blah. And then, like, one of my friends was like, how much of your project do you have animated? Like, it doesn't, like, I don't care about rough, just animated. And I was like, most of it? And she's like, you have most of it animated? And I was like, yeah, but it's rough, you know, like I don't have any of the line art and stuff done. And she's like, girl, I think you're way past 50% at that point. And I was like, all right then. So I think like the week before the midterms, okay, I'm gonna do the blue cloak. I think the week before the midterms is when I did the puppet animation in After Effects. Yeah. It's like a week before. And so just a little funny thingy, we had to send our professor all of the progress that we did every week. And so I just think it's really funny that for like weeks on end, like my professors have just been getting rough animation, the occasional background, more rough animation, sometimes it's collecting files, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, After Effects. It's just After Effects video, it's just me practicing that. Anyway, so it's midterms. Alright, I enter the classroom, and then we're watching everybody else's midterms, and then I realized that my friend was right, and I was definitely over 50%. Again, not to dunk on any of these students. It was most likely just me, like, overworking myself, I'm gonna be honest. And then we get to mine, right? And, you know, most of mine was rough animation. Everybody's just watching it. It's chill. It's fine. It's whatever. And then we get to the backstory part. We get to the After Effects part. I kid you not. Within, like, the first 30 minutes. 30 minutes. What am I talking about? That would be a very long flashback. Within the first, like, 15 or 30 seconds of this flashback scene, like, it was probably, like, 5 people. I was sitting in the back of the classroom, by the way. Like, 5 people turned their heads to look at me. One of them in particular had their, like, just mouth gaping open. And so then then the flashback went past, and then it continued on with the rough animation, and then it had like the storyboard stills from the part that I hadn't animated yet, and then it was finished, right? And with every project, there was at least 5 minutes of critique. And I don't remember exactly what the people said. They talked a lot about the voice acting. That I do remember. But I'm pretty sure there was at least one person that was like, how? And I was like, I don't know, man, I just made puppets, bro. Don't ask me. It's like that Family Guy audio that's like, PETA, how are you doing it? I don't know, Lois, I'm scared. That was like me. That was me during the After Effects things. I was like, I don't know, I had an idea and then I went for it and it worked out. Mostly. And then one of my friends was like, you can see that in this clip, it's like clipping a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I'll fix it later. I didn't fix it. You can still see it. There's like there's like 2 particular shots where like 2 different layers are clipping each other. And I did not fix it. And I just, yeah. I sent them out to film festivals like that, hoping no one would notice. But yeah, honestly though, like, the reception to this film, like, again, I feel like I'm glazing it too much, but like, I don't know, I'm on the topic right now. Like, the reception of my film was like so much better than I would have ever anticipated. And then here I am thinking like the so much better is mostly just, hey, I liked your film, it was good. But like, I don't know, I always have this like deep-seated fear that people won't think my stories are interesting, and I'm talking like my original stories, right? Like my actual serious work that I want to turn to like serious things one day, all that. Like, I have this innate fear that people won't like it, especially at school. Because in this school, you know, because everyone had their own little stories with their characters and all of that. But see, the thing is that these stories, most of the time, were like really high fantasy stuff. And if it wasn't high fantasy, it was like sci-fi. And if it wasn't sci-fi, I guess family, what am I talking about? Magical Girl, I guess, is also like fantasy. Like, you know, very like fantastical, magical stuff, right? And that's cool, and that's great, and that's awesome, right? But it kind of gave me this, like, innate fear that, like, my stories don't really have any of that. My stories don't take place in magical fantasy worlds. They take place in the real world with, like, I don't know, they take place in the real world. My story, if it does have magic, I rarely ever use it. They're more so grounded in reality. Yeah, like the actual story events. Again, I want them to be fairly grounded in reality, with a sense of, like, drama and exaggeration, of course, but, like, yeah. And because I was just surrounded by people into, like, fantasy and sci-fi and stuff like that, like, it kind of gave me a fear that, like, my story would only, like, something is only ever interesting when there's, like, magic in it, I guess. I don't know why. I don't know. I just think that sometimes. Charles says, what do you mean Robin isn't magical? I mean, you got a point. You got a point. But, like, I don't know, because, like, a lot of the projects that people had, especially when it comes to film, and, well, like, animation, it was either like in three categories. It was either, this is my, like, half elf, half tiefling character from my D&D campaign, and I'm making a short about it. It's either like it's either basically just D&D but animated. It's either that, or it's silly, goofy, like, Looney Tunes, like, not meant to be taken seriously cartoon. That was the other one. And then the third would be, like, these deep emotional films about these people's, like, trauma and stuff. And I guess mine would fit a little more into, like, the D&D type stuff, I guess, because it wouldn't fit into, like, the goofy comedy or, like, the deep, like, traumatic stuff. But again, it was one of those things where it's like, when you're surrounded by fantasy nerds, I guess, you start to really think, like, maybe, like, no one will be interested if there isn't any magic. I don't know. To be fair, no robots? Shaking my head. It's like, oh man, there's no robots that gain sentience. Sorry man, story just ain't interesting. To be fair, animating D&D is pretty nifty. I watched, what is it, Legends of Vox Machina, I think, because one of my friends is like very big D&D fan, and like she was just like, I'm watching like Legends of Vox Machina or whatever, and I wasn't there to watch it. She just started watching it, and I was like, well, might as well watch as well. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like halfly listening, and because I don't know too much about D&D, I would just keep asking questions. And she had like those like guidebooks and whatnot, and then she started showing me the guidebooks and like how like certain like classes and stuff would work. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. And then she'd constantly say over and over again, this is just a guide, you know, D&D, you can kind of just do whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. It was pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember too much about the show. I remember I enjoyed it, but, you know, like, I don't know much about D&D, but I thought it was cool. And, like, one of the characters specifically, what is her actor? I forgot the name of her actor, but she voices Terra from Teen Titans. And I recognized her voice. It wasn't from Terra, though. I recognized her voice, and it kind of annoyed me, so I had to look her up. And I found out that it was the voice of, well, Terra from Teen Titans, yeah, but, like, also Tulip from Infinity Train. And I was like, ah, that's where I've heard your voice before. Charles says, I've rewatched the actual hundreds of episode campaigns of Critical Role. I'm a hard addict. Oh my god, okay. So, hold on. So I already mentioned that most of the people I knew at school were, like, really big into fantasy and D&D. Ashley something. Yeah, like her first name is Ashley. I do not remember her last name. She was also Gwen from Ben 10. Yes, she is, yeah. But I fail to remember her last name. Like, two of my friends, specifically, It's a different one. Super into Critical Role, and they wouldn't play it for me. I would just kind of like hang around as they were playing, playing like putting on the episodes. It was this one about like fairy tale characters, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was one about fairy tale characters, and I ain't gonna lie, I was low-key into it. It was really fun. I didn't finish the, like, season or anything like that. It wasn't something that I was like, oh man, I can't wait till the next episode, but it was something that I was like, you know what, this is really enjoyable. This is pretty enjoyable. This is good for me to just, like, hang out with my friends and, like, doodle with. But yeah, so on the subject of my film, like, when I saw that people were like, I really love your film, or I'm super excited for it, like, before I finished it, people were like, I'm really excited, it looks really good so far. Like, even my own professor was like, this is pretty good. And the time commitment required is insane, so super ultra fair. I mean, they're long. They're also, like, really long episodes as well. I mean, I don't know. I'm very much accustomed to, like, a normal, like, TV format where it's, like, an episode is at the longest 30 minutes. And I'm just really accustomed to that sort of timing. At the shortest 11, at the longest 30. That's just me. But yeah, like, even my professor to my film was like, hey, this is pretty good. And I was like, oh, wow, thanks. And it was weird. It's kind of weird, because it's like you want people to praise your work. Obviously you do, you know, you want people to like it. But once you actually receive it, it's kind of overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really, like, there's only so many times I can say thank you, you know what I mean? And, like, I didn't really know how to take it. I don't know. I guess that speaks a lot to, like, my anxiety, but, yeah. Each episode of Critical Role is literally 3 to 5 hours. Yeah. And see, again, it's one of those things where it's like, that's long, man. That's long. Okay. Oh wait, the poll. Okay, I'll do the poll, and then I might shift his skin color a little, because I think it's kind of bothering me just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna do the poll. Just steal this brown. But I want it to be, like, a lighter one. Nah. Okay, maybe a little darker. Trying to, like, figure out the color for this. I mean, I guess this is fine. Yeah, that's fine. I'll go with that. You know what? Okay, do I do the... Yeah, I'll do that. It looks a little cursed, but don't worry, I'll only be there for a bit. Anyway, yeah, there's only so many times I can say thank you before I just really didn't know what else to say, and that was just during the production. Again, when I say overwhelming response, I'm not saying that my entire class was like, wow, amazing, perfect, good job. Not like that, but it's like a decent amount of students being like, yo, your project's looking really, really good. And then my professor, who I talked with, like, personally a couple times just to, like, help me out with the process, was also like, girl, this is looking good. Like, keep up the good work. And, like, I don't know, it's just, like, that tiny little praise that I'm just like, wow. Because the thing with my stories and these films, and this film, is... I mean, it depends on how old of, like, a viewer you are of me. But, especially for my longtime viewers, and of course some, like, personal friends of mine, know that these are stories that I have been working on for literal years. And I'm still technically working on them, although with the Robin Hood one specifically, I think I have something, like, pretty good down. Like, I just kind of want to, like, go over it once again, try to make sure everything connects. And of course I want to like train myself into like making like a comic type thing, because that's what I always envisioned. But like what I'm trying to say here is that, you know, these are projects that I've been working on for literal years, like damn near a decade, and like in a couple of years it'll basically be a decade that I've been working on them. And like, but the thing is that because I have like, I get so nervous about showing it to other people, if they're not my friends, I just like try to never mention it, because if I want to introduce it to someone, again, who isn't like a close friend of mine, I want it to be not in a finished state, but in a finished enough state. And I'm trying to like be better at it. I'm trying to be more open to the process of my work, especially with like Epic, where like I truly, honestly, fully believe, I don't know if Jorge realizes it himself, but I fully believe that the reason why Epic got as popular as it did is because he showed his progress over the course of the years. And I haven't done it to that, and I haven't like shown my progress with my stories or anything, but I would want to be a little more open with it. I don't know. I'm thinking. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that I rarely, if ever, get feedback of these personal works. I rarely ever do. And even though I'm obviously seeking some sort of praise, I'm not used to that. And so when I got it, I was like, even if it was a minuscule amount, I was like, whoa. Anyway, so fast forward, I finally finished the damn thing. Presentable state. Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't have to be completed, because there is a danger to waiting until the quote-unquote last moment. Because, trust me... Oh, the music shut off. Hold on for a second. Because, trust me, I'm someone who, when I want to watch, like, a new movie or show, I always tell myself, oh, I'll wait till the right moment. And then I don't watch it until, like, 2 or 3 years later. Once the right moment has just kind of, like, faded away, and I'm just like, might as well get that over with. And it can happen to art tenfold. And I know the story of Richard Williams. I know what happens when you love your project so much that you want it to be absolutely perfect. That perfection's never going to come. That perfect state is never going to come. That finished state is never going to come. Your work is never going to be finished, even though it technically is. And I'm aware of that. I'm very much aware of that. So it's not that I want to show like it as a 100% completed project, but like show it in a state that isn't bad is what I'm trying to say. Showing in a state that's not like super rough, because man, I'm looking back at some of those old drafts that I wrote back in the day, and I was like, oof. Oof, yeah, no, like I am way better at this now. Like, the exact chapter I actually adapted for my thesis. I had to rewrite the entire thing and streamline it as much as possible, because I didn't want it to be like, look, I know I was going for like an anime episode type thing, but I wasn't going for like a full episode, you know, like maximum 5 minutes, maximum. I think the film ended up being around 4 minutes though. But anyway, so fast forward, it's the end of the year, right? Now see, one of my goals for this capstone, for this thesis, for this project, for this film, I don't know what to call it. One thing I really wanted was to not burn myself out, because I don't think I ever experienced like burnout when it came to any like projects that like I absolutely adored per se, but stress was definitely there. And there was this one project in particular where I was taking 6 classes that semester. It was 6 classes, and I found out that like the deadline for one of my projects was like closer than I thought it was going to be. And I started freaking out in the middle of class. Like, I started to freak out in the middle of class, so much so that my professor, like, had to tell me to breathe. And then I did, and then I calmed down, and he's like, okay, like, you can still work, right? And I was like, yeah. And then I finished in time, and it was all good, but, like, I did not want to have that with, like, my thesis film. I don't want to have that with my thesis film, because it's, like, it was such an important project to me, because to a lot of people, especially in my animation class, the thesis film was just kind of a project they made, and that was kind of it, right? And that's completely fair. I mean, it is technically just a project, right? It's just a class that we had to take as seniors. But to me, I don't know, again, maybe I just think about things too much, but to me, this thesis was not just going to be a project. This thesis, what I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be the culmination of everything that I learned at that school. And to be fair, a lot of other students saw it that way too. I'm just saying that there was also a number of them that only really saw it as just, you know what, actually, maybe the skin is fine. Actually, no, forget what I said. Maybe his skin is fine. I'm gonna add a little thingy. I'm gonna color his scars a little bit. Maybe a little darker. Yeah, okay, you can see the difference. Like, I don't want, like, when I'm doing scars, I don't want them to be, like, super, like, I used to color scars as pink. Scars are not pink. They're pink-ish, but they ain't pink. But not, like, super noticeable either. Just, like, subtle enough that you notice it, but it's not, like, screaming in your face. Does he have any on his legs? No? Okay. Just on his arms? Alright. So where was I? Yeah, I didn't want to, like, burn myself out or, like, completely stress out with, you know, what I considered, like, pretty much the most important project of my entire school career. And so I didn't. I didn't have, like, any set schedule, but, like, I kind of sort of ran with this idea of, like, I ran with this idea that, like, for most of the week, I would just work. I would literally just wake up just to work. And then I would go to class, and the second class is done, I would just continue working. And that was it. And then, like, 2 days out of that week, and it wasn't necessarily the weekend, sometimes it was during a school day, I would just do nothing. Like, I would go to class, and I would do the work in class, but outside of that, I would just do nothing. And it was kind of like a routine I had that, like, most of the week, I am slaving away like a dog, and then, like, for, like, 2 or 3 days, I would just do nothing. And, hold up, Chorus says, they're more like a reddish brown. Yeah, they are, definitely. It's just, like, I don't know, when I was younger, I was, like, scars are pink, I guess, which, yeah, reddish brown is kind of pink. Alright, let me do his eyes. Just combine these two. So yeah, that was kind of like the general routine that I was going for, and honestly, it worked. It like honestly worked. It kept me fairly motivated until the last few months. The last few months I like to call cleanup hell, but that's for later. Yeah. But honestly, yeah, it kept me motivated, but the best thing it possibly did, and it's kind of crazy when you really think about it, but you know, it's the benefits of relaxing that you don't fully realize until you do it, where, you know, you have this mentality of like, I'm just laying around doing nothing all day. I'm not going to be able to finish my work. And I had that thought so many times. Like, there were literal nights where I would go to sleep at 7 a.m. thinking, I'm not gonna get this done. I'm not gonna get this done. I'm doing too much. All of that. Hold on a second. Cora says, the benefits of doing the work early, more free time to laze around. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Charles says, in my experience, they can also be white. Yeah, I was thinking, like, yeah, that's true. But I think, like, art-wise, it's better if they're, like, a reddish-brown. I think I might have to... Hold on. Little line art. I think I'll have to make this eye thing a little bigger to fit in with Okay, we'll leave it like that for now. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy from his hair, because like, I'm lazy. I like to reuse colors. There's one person in my class that saw some of my character designs and said, "You're really smart for reusing colors." And I was like, I'm gonna be fully honest, that was just me being lazy. But, nice to see that people think it's intentional. It was not. Okay. I'm gonna do your mouth. Maybe like more red. Okay. So it kind of sounds a little crazy, and when I mean crazy, I mean it sounds crazy to me because sometimes I have the mentality of like, if I don't work on something right now at this very second, I'm wasting time and I'm not going to get X project finished. However, like, it's one of those things that's like, taking a break is a good thing, and even though like every part of your brain says not to do it, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And then I did. And guess what? I finished it. I finished it like a week before I was supposed to turn it in. Which was amazing because it actually gave me the opportunity to finish stuff from my other classes, because yes, I did have other classes. The thesis took over every second of my existence, but I still had other classes to take, unfortunately. So I actually had time to like finish up some stuff from other classes as well. Anyway, so I finished my project, shot it out into the ether, and then waited for the last class of that semester, which would be the class where we would watch everything. We could invite our friends. I brought over one of my best friends and was like, "You kept me sane throughout this entire process. I put you in my little special thanks thingy." And we sit down, and my professor was literally like, "We ain't doing critique, we're just here to watch some films." And then we did. So we eventually got to mine. It played, and then it left, and nobody said a single thing. Which is fine, like that doesn't bug me. The part that bugged me was like, for every, well, this is how it felt like. I mean, because like I'm thinking about it now, and maybe it was a little different, but how it felt like was that like every other project that was presented, people would like, there'd be like a little applause, and people would be like, "Woo, yeah!" And then they'd say the name of whoever the person was presenting. I didn't get any of that. And it's like, there's a part of me that's like, girl, why are you seeking so much praise? You don't have to seek so much praise. Just be proud of like the work that you did. But there was like another little tiny part of me that was like, why are y'all like clapping for everyone else's but not mine, kind of thing, right? Thinking back, I must have just like, they must have been in awe. I like to tell myself that sometimes. That like sometimes, like whenever I got like just silence, like whenever I like presented something, I would just tell myself like, maybe the people thought it was good, and because of that they didn't have anything to say. They were just like, yeah, I liked it, and that was it. Anyway, so then I kind of sort of had like a mini crisis for a hot second, and I was like, oh shoot, did people speechless? I had a little crisis for a hot second, because I was thinking like, oh shoot, did people even like it? Or maybe nobody liked it, maybe it was bad. And I had like a whole thing about that, and trying to figure out what I want for this tongue. Okay, that's fine, we're gonna leave it like that. Where's the... Okay, we got the canvas back on. Okay, so I'm looking back at his skin, but if I turn off the color, it doesn't look that bad. Hold on, I'm checking it. Oh. I think I'm gonna keep it like that for now, but things might change. You know what? Just in case, I'm just gonna duplicate this layer, just in case. Okay, time to combine all of these down to a single layer. I'm gonna turn this off. Do I lock it? I'm gonna lock it for now. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Got that. Because I colored him out, I like, you know what, maybe I should sketch out the background a little bit. Let me make like a quick folder. What am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, and this is old sketch. I'm just like, okay. Cause I had the idea that like back here you could see like one of the sails. Or would that even make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense, but like we're gonna try it out. We're gonna try it out. Hold on for a sec, let me just look at a boat real quick. Let me see just how boats looked like. Okay. Maybe like a big sail could go like here, and then a little sail. Like that. I'm gonna like lower this. Because I don't know if you would be able to see the thing holding up like this part. Does that logically make any sense? Nah, I'm just gonna leave the sails like that. This you definitely will see the little stick thingy. You can definitely see it. Okay. Whoops. Perspectives be perspecting. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what exactly I want with this. Okay, and then the water would just, like, be down here. I don't know. Horizon line is... Actually, technically, if anything, the horizon line would be down here in the way that I drew it. Like, the ocean would be, like, all the way down here now that I'm thinking about it. You know what? Maybe I did draw those sandals correctly now that I'm thinking about it. Like the straps on the legs. Or it's just the sky. You know what? Forget the ocean idea. You don't see an ocean. You don't see an ocean. You just see sky. Okay, that's... I'll do that, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, sky. Doing the sky. Actually, let me just bring back his colors. So that, like, I somewhat, at least, in a sense, kinda know what I'm doing. And this is what I mean when I say, I cannot do backgrounds to save my life. Oh, yeah, maybe I should put this on here. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Yep, that's how it works. That's how it works. Okay, yeah, so anyway, so I present my project, and a lot of people were clapping for everyone else's, and it didn't feel like they clapped in mine, and to be fair, I probably wasn't the only one. There were probably some others that people didn't clap at. It was just kind of like me freaking out about mine. Anyway, so the class ended, I had a little crisis, and then my friend was like, dude, it was good, like, I promise you, it was really good, and I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, it was good, I swear, and I was like, okay. And, like, I don't know, I just kind of sat there wondering, like, but why? And then like, my friend basically said, like, you know, it was probably just because, like, the ones that got applause, maybe that person is just friends with other people in that class. And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. Because I knew a lot of people from that class, of course, but I wasn't, like, friends with any of them, per se. Or at least, like, had, like, a close friendship with them. Okay, for the canvas, Do I want to use the same light? I don't want to use the same light. Actually, let me make it a little more blue. Oh, that's so much better. A little bit more blue, maybe a little bit more gray as well. So it could kind of, yeah, like fades a little more into the background. Big brain, big brain. I'm getting ideas here. No, leave. Anyway, so like a week later. Well, maybe not a week later, like sometime later. Like a decent amount of time later. So I had many people, I had a lot of people from that class and some other classes of mine. So we kind of like saw each other again. And I don't remember how many. It was probably like 3 or 4 people from these other classes that were in that main like capstone class. But like I saw them again in the other classes. Like 3 or 4 of them literally walked up to me and said, "Hey, your final was amazing." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." There's this one girl who literally pointed at me out loud and said, "Your project was incredible." And I was like, "Thanks." Like, okay, that sounded mean, but it was like, whoa, okay, thank you. And it was cool and it was amazing, but I ain't gonna lie. There was a teeny tiny part of me that was like, then why the heck didn't you say that in class? Y'all waited until like days later to see me again? To tell me that my project was good? Like, bruh. Like, you can just tell me, like, in class, you know, in the class where the thing was presented in, but, you know, like, I still appreciated it, of course. It was just kind of like one of those things that was like, you could have said that earlier, but like, okay, cool. Charles says emotional support classmates were lacking. Yeah. No, it was, yeah. Because again, I'm very thankful for their comments, but at the same time, it was also kind of like, why did you wait until now to say that, guys? Like, come on. Like, I'm glad that you liked it, goddamn, but like, yeah. And it was presented a few more times, but like outside of the class, it was presented in like the showcase of the school. And I decided to take like my last opportunity to talk to my professor, you know, just about like animation industry stuff, like how to break into it, all that good stuff. She basically, like, the #1 advice she told me to break into the animation industry, I kid you not, was just like, upload your animations online. Okay, there was a little bit more than that. It was mostly like join animation groups on social media and then start uploading them online, because according to her, that's how like she started getting like animation work. And I was like, cool. And I'm sitting here like, so what, do I just send like a professional my YouTube channel? Like, can I do that? Can I send an industry professional my my Farina animatic? No, I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. Anyway, but like, then I asked her like, can I upload like solid advice? I mean, it is solid advice, like, and I mean, it worked for her, so clearly it works on some level. It's just kind of funny sometimes when I think about it. But yeah, I mean, it's more than just upload online. There's like some other steps, but like, yeah. Unfortunately, the animation industry right now is like literally imploding onto itself. Like, all of the studios are just like dying, so like, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it won't work. At least not now. Maybe later. Maybe in like a few years. Trial by internet, basically. Like, I love that, like, that's the main advice she gives to her students, and she's like, that's how I broke into the industry, because I started uploading stuff online. There was somebody out there from, like, California who was like, hey, yo, I like your work. Do you want to work at a Korean studio and work on Voltron Legendary Defender? And she's like, hell yeah. Oh yeah, she worked on Voltron Legendary Defender, which was crazy. Honestly, it's kind of crazy hearing, like, some of these professors, like, just mention, wait till the dust settles. Yeah. I was thinking, like, I mean, it never hurts to try, obviously, and I still am, like, trying to, like, apply to different places, but it's also one of those things that I kind of gotta recognize that, like, how the industry is doing right now is not super well. Animation Thunderdome. Okay. And just make that into a new group. And just get like a desaturated brown for this little thingy. And maybe like this poking out here. I'm gonna try to not like focus too much on the little details of this background because they're backgrounds, you know, they're not like super important. Okay. Actually, let me just desaturate that a little more. Okay. Yeah, I'll do like a shadow down here. But, where was I? Something. Oh yeah, people giving me praise, like a couple days late, I guess, was presented again. Yeah, I go up to my professor, ask her just about, like questions about like the industry and stuff, because it was like basically the last day of school. Well, not really, but it was like nearing the end. And like one of the things I told her was like, hey, so for this film and like film festivals and stuff, can I still upload it online while sending it to film festivals? And she was like, that's probably not a good idea, because like, yes, there are some film festivals that will allow you to submit stuff even though it's already public, but most film festivals kind of sort of work with kind of like a novelty idea where, the idea is that you can only watch it at this film festival, and if it's out there online publicly, it kind of loses that like specialty of it. So I was like, okay, whatever. I like wrote down that advice, and then she told me, you should really you should really submit them to film festivals. You should really do that for your film. And I was like, you think so? And she's like, yeah. And then she dead ass straight up told me, you're an amazing storyteller, which was like, I was like, yo, okay, thank you, but whoa. I'm like, girl, you haven't even seen any of like my actual work. That was just like a snippet, but like thank you. There is, I kid you not, sometimes I get a little thought in my brain. Actually, I'm gonna clip that. There's like a dumb little thought in my brain where I'm like, when I eventually start working on my Robin Hood manga, there's like a tiny part of me that wants to like, when I finish like the first chapter or something, I want to like send it to her and be like, hey, like, this is what I'm making these days. Like, I don't know. She's super cool is what I'm trying to say. My professor was amazing. I loved her. Like, sometimes you get really cool professors. Other times you get professors that, I low-key think they didn't like me. But the professors that are golden, like, dude, like, it's like you want to keep in touch with them even after. Charles says reasonable praise. I mean, it was crazy because, like, whenever I got praise for my film, it was rarely ever about the actual story. It was mostly about, like, the artistry put into it, because, as I mentioned a bajillion times, I was kind of trying to emulate, like an anime type thing. And, a lot of people didn't want to do that because, like, it's difficult. And trust me, I did that. It is. Like, I do not fault anyone for not doing that. That was, like, mostly praise I got. Like, I like your backgrounds, I like your designs, I like your animation, I like the shadows. There's this one person who was like, you're really good at drawing shadows, and I was like, oh my god, thanks. Which, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't consider myself that good at them, nor am I a master. Like, I'm not, Caravaggio or anything like that. Cora says, seems like a cool person. She is. She's amazing. Like, college professors are super hit or miss. Like, I already mentioned this before, but you either get professors that are just, like, so cool that you want to keep in touch with them, like, after, or you get professors that, like, you kind of wonder if they hate you. You kind of sit there being like, I don't know if you like me. And then, of course, there are professors who, you know, they're just fine. They're just fine. They do their job. They're not super standout. You know, you don't love them, but, like, you know, they do their work. I don't know if the shadow is making any sort of sense, actually. I don't know. Okay, actually, let me leave that down there and because I don't know how I'm feeling about the shadow down here. But yeah, I rarely ever got, like, praise for the actual story in and of itself. Like, I don't know. I think the highest praise I ever got for the actual storytelling was one of my friends calling it niche. Where I'm like, I'll take that as a compliment, but, like, I get what you mean. Which, I mean, it is. I'm not gonna say that it's the most mainstream thing out there, but, like, yeah. Charles says mid-professors. Yeah, you know, they're just mid. Like, they're cool, I guess, but, like, you know, they're not standout. Like, I sat down in their class, I listened to them talk for an hour, and then I leave, and that's it. Well, maybe this actually needs more shadow. Maybe like that would be better? I don't know. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that her praising my storytelling capabilities, which again, like, I need to preface with my thesis film, is, like, one thing I need to preface is it is based off a full chapter. It's based on a full chapter of one of my stories, which in and of itself is based off of a ballad, which, like, I'm not saying that it's even longer or anything, but like the ballad also is, like, fairly lengthy, right? And here was me trying to condense it as much as I possibly could so I wouldn't, you know, die. And honestly, like, I honestly really love how storytelling-wise the film came out. I honestly think it's way better than that original chapter. I am really proud of it. But I just think it's really funny how it's like, it is a condensed version of a really old chapter that I wrote, like, way back in, like, 2020 or 2021. Which, in and of itself, is based off a ballad that pretty much no one's ever heard of. So, like, yeah. However, I don't know if I explained it to her in particular. No, I don't think I explained it to her specifically, but I did explain it to some people in my class. Where there was a specific reason why I chose The Sorrowful Night is the name of my film. There's a reason I specifically chose that chapter, and it wasn't just like, oh, I think this chapter is good enough for a film. Like, it was a very, very intentional choice, because I had, like, all of these chapters that I could adapt, or all of these, like, story beats that I could adapt, and I had to figure out which one I wanted to adapt. And, hold on for a second, I don't know if I'm liking this. I don't know if I'm liking this. Okay. Oh man, okay. How about instead of trying to do anything fancy like that, I just go like that instead. I just go basic bitch with this. How about if I do that instead? Because I am not liking how that shadow looks. I think it looks ugly. I'll go with this and see what happens. This is what I mean that I can't do backgrounds. I cannot do backgrounds to save my life. The only reason those backgrounds looked as decent as they did was because I spent literal hours staring at actual backgrounds. Okay, that looks so much better already. That looks way better, like, already. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that for now. For the blue sky, one thing I really like to do with a blue sky is that I don't like to leave it just one solid color, because, not that, like, the sky isn't a solid color, question mark, but, like, it's for the aesthetic, I like to add like a little bit of color variation. Just gonna lower this a little bit and darken it just a little bit, just the slightest bit. Gonna increase the brush size, and that does not look good. Hold on a second, let me fix that. Oh, that looks bad. Wait, was it up or down? Hold on a second. I had a thought. It was up. It was up. It was up. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. I need to look it up again. I haven't drawn a sky in a while. Forgive me. Forgive me. I haven't drawn bright blue sky in forever. Where is it? I had one that... Okay, it was the top. Okay, it was the top. I'm just being dumb. Okay. Gradients, hell yeah. Yeah. I know, it adds a little more fun to everything. Then I'll blur it all out. Alright. Not bad. Not bad. Probably. I don't know. Clouds. Now, a lot of the artists out there don't use blue. I mean, what am I talking about? They don't use white. I mean, they don't use straight blue either. They don't use pure white for their clouds. It's a similar thing with like the tunic, but actually to a much more degree. Like this is just straight up blue. Actually, I think I do want it to be a little bit lighter, but it's the illusion. It's the illusion. It's the illusion, guys. And I think like a lot of artists only ever use like pure white on the clouds if it's like really shiny. But yeah. Yeah, so I think I told a couple people like in my class who were particularly interested about the film. I didn't tell my professor because I didn't want to trap her with like with my nerd stuff. But with one of them in particular who is now like a close acquaintance of mine, where I basically explained that like, yeah, the choice of The Sorrowful Night, which is the name of my film, it wasn't just a random like, oh, I want this scene to be in my capstone. It was a very, very intentional move because I wanted it to be, again, I didn't just want it to be kind of like an anime type thing, but I wanted it to be kind of like an introduction to a lot of people, like an introduction to my story in a sense. And so I explained that my Robin Hood story is very linear. Like, one scene leads to another, one scene leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another. Vaguely. It's not like point blank, if this scene never existed, nothing else would ever exist. Not necessarily to that extreme, but there is a linear progression going on in the story. At least, like, how I drafted it. And so I couldn't just pick any other scene, because any other scene would require a decent amount of context, unless I used, like, the first scene of my story. But it, like, it kind of loses the whole Robin Hood magic if that is the case, right? So I was like, I need a scene that has the Robin Hood shtick, right? Which requires the least amount of context. However, it would still hint at the greater story that I have written. Because I wanted it to be clear to the audience that this is not a one-off film. This is part of, like, a greater thing and all of that. Hold on for a sec. Charles says, I mean, back in the day, blue was an exceptionally rare color, so not accurate if you include historical artists. Wait, like, what do you mean? Like clouds not being white? Actually, on the subject of these clouds, let me bring back Odie. Let me bring him back. Okay, so I do think they should be a bit of a lighter color. Yeah, that's a little better. Maybe I should desaturate it a little more though. Yeah, that's all right, I guess. That's fine. Yeah, okay. Move this. You know, what if I just leave it like this, guys? What if I just leave the background like this? Then I wouldn't have to worry about it again, eh? Eh? I just leave the background like just that by itself with these flat colors. Charles says, you accidentally said something like most artists don't use blue. Oh, that's what you meant. That's what you meant. I mean, you are right. You are indeed right. Blue was a pretty rare color. You know, like, that is true. That is true. That is indeed correct. Okay. This is clouds. I'm just gonna combine this here. Shadows of this. Ooh, actually, the wood. The wood. Okay, so since I want the light source, to come from like here. Okay, Odie, you need to leave for now. I'm gonna get this, and then I'm gonna get. It's not like a sunset, so I don't want it to be like that bright. I don't want it to be like an orange. Whoops. I don't want it to be like an orange because it's not really sunset. I was envisioning the Cyclops scene to just kind of be like midday. Just like it's just bright out. It's just bright outside. It's not like. It's not super fancy dramatic lighting. Okay, and for these, do I want pure white? I don't want pure white. Do I need this though? I don't know. We're gonna leave. We're gonna have it here for now, I guess. And ooh, actually, idea. How about I get this, and then I darken it, and then I thin out the lines a little bit, and how does that look? How does that look? I don't know if that looks good, but I don't hate it. Wait, is it still part of the... Yeah, it is. Okay. Now, let me do it on another layer in case I end up not liking it. Maybe it should be darker, actually. Let me make it darker. Not the worst. Not the worst idea I've had. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Oh yeah, what am I saying? Something capstone, wanted 0, like, you can understand it with 0 context, but still like little hints here and there. Yeah, that. And so like, basically the little hints I put in there is just like Robin's whole thing, just like his whole, like a big part of this little story is that the other characters around him are like, what the heck happened to you, kind of thing. So like sprinkle in a little of that. There's like a little moment where Robbie wants to like help out some people, and then his friends are like, no, and then he gets mad, and then he says something along the lines of, that man is going to lose everything, and I'm not going to let that happen, not again. Something like that. Something like that. Which again, it's that little sprinkle. It's a little sprinkle of hinting that more was going to go on. Like, you know? And I don't know if I achieved my goal. I don't know. Everything I'm saying is just kind of like me being on like a bit of like a high with like me completing the work. I don't know if it fully ended up being the way I always I want it to be. But one thing I will say is that my professor really liked it. And that's all else, and that's all I can say for sure. Okay, that's all I can say for sure. Cora says, Robbie's been through stuff. He does indeed. And as I'm trying to, like, finish things up with, like, this draft, like, this current draft that I'm cooking up, like, the Robin Hood drafts have basically stayed the same. It's just me trying to it's just me, like, shifting things around or, like, tweaking a couple things. Just trying to, like, make sense of stuff. And, hold up. Maybe... what if I do, like, something like this? Or is it okay if I just put one? Or maybe, like, that instead. I'll leave it like that for now. Again, if I change it, if I don't like it later, I might change it. I think I'm like accidentally rendering this right now. But you know what? Honestly, I'm here for it. I think I'm gonna try to do the little... what the heck just happened? Try to do the little... oh my god, what happened? Stop that. Stop that. Okay. It's not that dark. Okay, good. On further inspection, maybe the highlights, this pure white, should have been more of like a yellow. Actually, upon further thinking, but it isn't. Oh well. But yes, Robbie goes through stuff. He goes through hell and back. That's kind of like a big part of his thing, and like I've been trying to like figure out what to do with kind of like his character in general, and also Maid Marian as well, because like in the initial draft, in the first draft that I wrote out, like I had an idea for her, but I don't know if I don't think I did it in a good way. I don't think I did it in the best way that I probably could have, cause I kind of wanted her to be like, how do I put this, like a realistic girl boss, question mark? I don't know. Like, okay, so my idea with her character is that, like, as per the ballads, don't look at any of the movies, like in the ballads, in her own ballads, her own little character stories, like a big part of Maid Marian's like character is like she's either like an insider for the merry men, or like she basically pretends to be a boy to run off to the woods. Yeah, she pretends to be a boy, and then she has a little fight with Robin because they don't recognize each other, and she beats the shit out of him, and it's kind of funny. And so, you know, there's already this like kind of like tomboyish attitude that she has, which I also came to find out originates from the fact that like a lot of like old-timey Robin Hood plays, she would only ever be played by boys. And so that kind of sort of evolved into her kind of being like a tomboy type character. And then by the time they started making Robin Hood movies, they just didn't do that. I was like, oh, okay, because I think that's like, but anyway, whatever. And so I was like, okay, like definitely, you know, tomboy, probably has like an interest in swords and can beat up Robbie in a fight. Awesome, cool. But the thing is, as well, is that like this probably is going to like expose me a tiny bit. And girl boss but grounded. Yeah, this is probably going to expose me just a little bit. Especially like there's like a specific corner of a specific kind of people, which I don't think it's that many, but they're pretty loud. But like, yes, I kind of want her to be slightly a little bit of a girl boss, a bit of a tomboy, right? I don't want her, like, I don't want her, like, beating up, like, 5 dudes at the same time with a sword, and then her, like, being like, you guys ready for more? Or, like, hi, I bet you guys didn't think that a girl could do this. I don't want to do that. That's stupid, and that's cringy, and I hate it, and Disney's been doing that with a lot of their recent movies, and it's just like, no, stop it, stop it, stop it. It hurts me, it hurts me. No. It's so cringy. But the worst part as well, okay, not the worst part, but the thing that always, like, grinds my gears when it comes to this. Oh, Mulan, the live action one, the bad one, is probably, like, my favorite example of this. The reason why the original Mulan works is because, like, a big part of Mulan's character in the original movie is that she's just kind of like an average girl, right? She's an average girl from an average village, right? And she doesn't, like, fully fit into her society's expectations of femininity, but, like she's still just kind of, like, an average girl, right? And because she's never had to fight in her life, and because she's never had to hold a sword or anything like that, like, because she's never had to be a warrior, she struggles with it, which is, you know, why it's kind of like the whole point of her story is the fact that, like, you know, she learns how to be a like a warrior in her own way, and not necessarily in the ultra masculine way that the guys want her to be, and all of that. We all know that. And then the Disney remake ruins it by making her be just like an absolutely perfect girl boss who can beat up a ton of dudes all at once with her magical chi, and she also makes, like, 0 facial expressions whatsoever throughout that entire movie. And they also gave money to concentration camps. That was also not a good move. So, yeah. Basically, like, I was thinking, okay, if Maid Marian is basically going, like, a tad Mulan-y and playing boy, why not, I want to do kind of like a very similar thing, where it's like, okay, she's not a peasant girl, she is a noble girl, which, no, actually, she is a noble girl. Why would she ever need to learn how to fight? She wouldn't. Like, I did have this idea that, like, she had an interest in swordplay, but an interest in swordplay, like, kind of like how you have an interest in, like, fencing, if that makes any sense. It's like, yes, you have an interest in this sport as a sport, but, like, not, and very casually as well, like, not even competitive. Like, a very casual sport that you do every once in a while because, I don't know, it's fun sometimes, but definitely not competitively, and even less, like, in an actual serious knife fight. I was thinking, like, that is, like, her extent of, like, sword fighting knowledge. Because, I don't know, I just feel like it makes sense. Like, why would she have to know how to, like, beat up people? You know? So I kind of wanted her to, like, when she does, like, join the Merry Men and, you know, they're going off on their little adventures, like, by technicality, Robin is the weakest. By technicality. Because I had this funny idea that Robin is really, really good at a bow and, like, nothing else. But aside from him, Marian is, like, the worst. Like, not because, like, and, like, I know there's going to be that, like, group of people. There's going to be that, like, really minuscule group of people that is, like, this is, like, I don't know, sexist or something. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to be real here. I'm just trying to be real here, alright? Like, not everybody is a girl boss. Not everybody who touches a sword is automatically, like, an amazing fighter. I was thinking she does it out of self-defense and nothing else. Cora says he's a one-trick pony. Yeah, I really wanted that because, like, okay, because I thought it was funny. But another reason was because, you know, while I was researching for the Robin Hood story, while I was reading a bunch of these, like, old legends, old ballads, something that I constantly noticed all the time with a lot of his stories, and I'm talking about, like, his ballads, not, like, the movies or anything, but Robin actually loses most of the time. Like, a good chunk of his stories is him fighting someone off. Usually one of his merry men, actually, which is really funny. And not all the time, but most of the time he loses. And the only time he can really escape is him, like, either using his wits, or it's him either using his wits or just him being astronomically lucky. Like, those are like the two real ways he's able to get out of situations. Charles says, it's a really good trick though. Yeah. I mean, he's a beast with a bow. That's pretty much all he can do, but he's a beast with it. He can kill people with it. You know? But, yeah. Okay, I don't know how much more I want to do with that. Because, again, like, you're not even supposed to be looking at the background anyway. Okay. Odie, your skin looks really yellow, and I don't like it. I had a feeling there was something about the skin that I was not gonna like. There's something about it that I was just not into. It worked well for that one illustration. It ain't working here. Or actually, maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I can just, like, color pick here. Let me, like, experiment on these colors. Cause you're looking way too yellow. See, because I don't want him to look, like, pasty white either. Like, yeah, he's a white guy, technically. Greeks are white, right? He's a white guy, technically, but okay, that does actually look so much better. I think I might go with that. He's a white guy, technically, but he's also from the Mediterranean, so. Oh, yeah, no, that looks so much better, actually. Oh my god. Okay, that actually looks so much better. That actually looks so much better. Like, I don't want him to be, like, super ultra pasty white, but at the same time, I'm also like, it gotta look good. Like, it's still gotta be, like, cohesive on some level. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the illustration like this until next stream. Don't worry, I'm still gonna ramble for just, like, a teeny tiny bit before, we cut the stream. Cause it's getting just, like, a little bit late. I'm okay with going, like, a little bit over time because I came a little late and, like, yeah, I kind of feel bad for that. So, yeah. So you guys can just stare at what I have so far as I keep on rambling about this dumb little story. Anyway, yeah, so with a lot of those Robin Hood ballads, Robin actually loses a good chunk of the time. Not all of the time, but a good chunk of the time. And funny enough, most of the time he's fighting is with his friends. It's great. I love it. And most of the time, like, when his way of getting out of a fight is either taking the L, using his wits to escape, or just being astronomically lucky, which I guess you could say is the case for both scenarios. Robin is not that good of a fighter in these original ballads. And I'm pretty sure a big part of that was to show that, like, because a big part of the Robin Hood narrative is that Robin is just kind of like a normal dude. So, anywho, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be really funny? Here we have all of these movies of Robin just being like a, what's the term? Like, swashbuckling, like, hero who's, like, fighting off, like, the sheriff and the guards with his cool little sword, and then he's also, like, an archer as well, and, like, it's, like, generally a really cool fighter, like Errol Flynn, like the Errol Flynn movie. And, like, that's really fun, that's really cool, but I thought, hey, wouldn't it be, like, 30-70 win ratio? Yeah, pretty much. But I thought, hey, wouldn't it be really funny if Robin actually really sucks at fighting? And he's really good with a bow, extremely good with a bow, scarily good with a bow. But that's kind of all he has. And I was thinking, like, once somebody is on close range, that is his big problem. That is his biggest weakness. Yeah. And, yeah, I had this idea for, like, for like Maid Marian specifically, that like, I don't know, her playing boy, like all of the merry men know that because Robin would be like, hey, like, this is my girlfriend, basically. But I was thinking that, like, generally the guards and, like, the sheriff and, like, the other nobles don't recognize her, I was thinking at first, until they get, like, a good look at her. I have this, like, specific scene in my brain where she's, like, fighting off the sheriff of Nottingham. Well, okay, when I mean fighting, I mean, like, barely, barely able to handle him, just barely. And, like, they're, like, really close. They're, like, having a little struggle. And then the sheriff, like, really looks at her. And then goes, hold on a second. I think I know who you are. And then he says something like, you're the girl from... And, like, before he can say, like, exactly where she's from. Which is from... It was either Sussex or Wessex. It's either Sussex or Wessex. It's, like, near the south of England. Anyway. Like, the sheriff is like, hold on a second, I know you, you're the girl from, and before he can, like, say properly where she's from, she grabs, like, either, like, an item nearby, maybe, I don't know if I'd full on say a rock, but my first thought was a rock. She'd grab, like, the closest thing nearby, and then just, like, smash him on the side of the head before she, like, runs off, and he's like, oh my god, it's her! But, like... It's just, like, a thought that's, like, in my mind that I kind of want to, like, put in one of the chapters. But again, it's, like, it's me trying to give her, like, a little bit more character, a little bit more stuff to do, because I really didn't do that in the first draft, and I really want to. Like, there's not that many females in these stories, you know what I mean? And, I feel like a lot of people these days, okay, not a lot of people, a specific type of people, like, especially in a period story, especially in a historical drama, where, you know, this isn't a time period where women didn't have, like, that many rights. And so a lot of authors want it to be, like, pocket sand him. I mean, that's also an option, too. I could do the pocket sand, but I do think, like, smashing him in the head with, like, the closest item would be even funnier. Yeah, there's, like, a lot of people, especially with, like, period dramas, that, like, they want to show the cool girl, right? And so it's like, hey, look at this girl. She reads books, and she wears pants, and she doesn't wear a corset, even though corsets were basically bras at the time, so if you don't wear a corset, that's equivalent of going braless. And look, there's nothing wrong with going braless, but it's definitely not, like, it's not the most comfortable thing to do, so, like, why would you do that? And also, corsets are a lot softer than a lot of people think, but anyway. Like, a lot of people try to have, like, you know, it's, like, the cool girl against, like, the cruel patriarchy, and, hey, I learned sword fighting in my free time. I'm a fast learner, she says to the men who are all surprised at her skill, and it's like, sometimes it can work. Sometimes it can work. But like, most of the time, it's just, like, really cringy. Most of the time, it's just, like, hella cringy, and it's like, look, girl bossing, fun, but there's a level to it. There's a level to it, you know? Like, and especially with, like, the more grounded, realistic context that I'm going for this story, where it's like, this is a noble girl who, at maximum, does swordplay as a casual sport, at maximum. Because, contrary to popular belief, yes, women could do swordplay. They could be taught swordplay, but it was only ever in the context of sport. So, like, here is a noble girl who has never been in a war or in a proper fight before. Like, her only swordplay knowledge at best is, like, casual sport. And so it's like, no, realistically, she ain't beating down a bunch of dudes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, but she could learn from the merry men. But, like, at least in my story, a big part of the merry men is that they're just normal people. And so it's like, yeah, they can, like, yeah, they know how to handle their way through a bar fight. But, you know, there's a difference between someone who's been in the odd scuffle and then fighting off a police officer. Or fighting off a member of the military. There's a bit of a gap in skill level there. a bit of a gap in skill level. Yeah. But here I am just like nerding out about like my own story that you guys are probably not going to like read to completion until like I actually finalize everything, which I'm very slowly but surely in the process of. Um yeah, okay. The music shut off like a while ago. I should get going. It is almost 9:30, which is basically 7:30 is yeah. 7:30 is basically when I started this. I'll just like turn the music back on for like the cute little ending. We're just gonna go back to the infinite void for a second. All right. So I was thinking, yeah, next stream we're probably going to do like the rendering of good old Odysseus here, and will we be done with the art piece? Actually, probably. We probably will be done with the actual art piece. If not, then well, that's just yet another stream. But yeah, guys, till Tuesday. Till Tuesday, we render my little boy. My little boy, my man. render the dude, and yeah, hope y'all have a good day. Bye.